bet Susan really knows both books.
Oh, yeah.
For 3.5 months, since I came to Circle's Edge, I have been yammering to anyone who would listen about Easy World. Come in.
Oh, is the door locked?
Must be locked.
Oh,
Security.
somehow it got locked? Should never be
Thank you, Paul.
Do you know the password?
Oh, it's Kathy. Welcome to Easy World,
New
Kathy.
security protocol.
Security protocol. Anyway, I want to tell you one thing. When I use the phrase Easy World or Design for Harmony or Spirit, I'm talking about that energy of God. And as you listen to this story, this is really not your normal Sunday talk. But as you listen to this story, I want you to know that throughout this experience, the one thing that I did over and over and over was invoke Easy World from without and evokes Easy World from within. In other words, Spirit. So I have a story to tell you, which is the reason that Easy World got locked into my being as profoundly as it did. So, sit back, relax, take a deep breath. We're going to be here for a long, long time because I got a lot to say about Easy World. No, I'm just kidding. What I have decided today is to talk about the experience that locked in for all eternity my profound belief in the power of Easy World. After I told you the story, I won't have time for much else, even those things I love the most about the Easy World philosophy, the design for harmony, and that Easy World is another name for spirit, plus some quotes that I'd love to share from other writers that verify that Easy World is real, even though the other writers don't call it Easy World. So I've decided that what I really need to do with the Easy World material is give a series of talks, because as I say, I have a lot to say about Easy World. And I just spoke with Steve about the possibility of speaking when I come back from Alaska again, and then maybe a couple of times a month. This man, your administrator, is not only going to ministerial school, but he is in the master's program for comparative religions, and running Circle's Edge, and running a ranch, and helping with grandkids, and being a husband, etc. So even though I'm really, really busy, I'm going to see if I can't help relieve some of his load by being your speaker more often. Anyway, as I told you when I was here talking about good and more good, on February the 1st of this year, I was talking to my beloved 85-year-old metaphysical friend Sylvia, and for some reason she mentioned a book she had read and enjoyed in the past called Choosing Easy World. She described a few things about the Easy World philosophy, and I said, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'll have to buy the book. And she said, oh, here, I'll loan you my copy until yours arrives. Little did I know that that loan would change my life. Good and more good and Easy World is the reason that I am here. Kate said in her opening treatment that you can have gifts beyond your wildest dreams, and being your senior minister is a gift to me beyond my wildest dreams. Whoever thought I would ever be here as your senior minister for 2 years till Steve graduates from ministerial school. Anyway, each evening before I turn the light off for sleep, I read a few pages or paragraphs of whatever book I'm currently reading. That night, because I was so fascinated by this concept of Easy World, I set aside the book I was reading and thought I'd just read the introduction. Well, I got so jazzed. I read the introduction, the first chapter, and the second chapter, and by then I was so sleepy I had to quit. But I want to say the rest is history. I went to sleep absolutely fascinated by Julia Rogers Hamrick's Easy World philosophy, and the very next day started repeating the Easy World mantra over and over. Say it with me now if you know it. I choose to live in the Easy World where everything is easy. I breathe, I relax, enjoy, and I always add, and I am grateful. Well, in my life, immediately things started happening that confirmed that easy world philosophy was valid. There is an easy world, and we can access it by claiming it. Most of the things that started happening were fairly simple but fun, and most of all, they made my life easier. I'd arrive at the ATM just as the car in front of me would drive away. I'd hit every green light on my way someplace. I found parking spaces exactly where I needed them. I'd arrive at Costco to return an item and be the seventh in line and think, oh, I should have easy worlded this one. I'd get distracted for a few seconds, for instance, watching a child interact with a mother. I'd turn around and the man would say, I can help you next, ma'am. And I'd think, where did those 7 people go? Easy world. I wish I'd written down all the easy world things that happened to me over the next 2 weeks. But even if I told you those I remember, we'd be here for the rest of the day. As I said, sit back, relax. So how many of you have read Choosing Easy World? A bunch of you. How many of you own copies that I gave you? How many of you are choosing Easy World? All right. I'd love to hear your Easy World experiences. But what I'm going to share with you today is the most extraordinary Easy World experience imaginable. So profound that, as I said earlier, it has locked Easy World into my consciousness for all eternity. Basically, I'm just telling you a story today, so here we go. It's a long one. Sit back, relax, breathe. You know the drill. I have a very much loved cousin who lives in Spokane, Washington. She's going on the Alaska cruise with Leah and me and our sister Holly. Gay and I are the same age, and in addition to being cousins, we have become very, very close friends as adults. And in addition to that, we have become business associates in a medical wellness device company that we're both very excited about sharing with the world. Gay is my team manager in the Beamer company. No, B-E-M-E-R, not BMW. Back to the story. Gay had decided that she didn't want to spend last winter in Spokane because the winter before had been absolutely brutal, and she thought snowbirding in Southern California for 2 months was a fantastic idea. So on January 9th, she packed her stuff, herself, and her little dog, Gabby, into her car and started her drive to Palm Springs. Well, things did not go well on that trip. It rained heavily for miles and miles. It was foggy for miles and miles. There were terribly windy stretches on the road, and the traffic was horrific all the way. Many huge trucks and lots of crazy drivers. You know how it can be. But the worst of it was her little dog, who had always been very good in the car, began to get extremely anxious. She was obviously feeling her master's anxiety too, and she never did settle down and sleep like Gay thought she would. Gabby cried and whined and whimpered and drooled and barked and paced and became a major distraction for Gay, in addition to everything else. That poor little dog was terrified at what was going on around her. So what should have been an easy 3-day drive from Spokane to Palm Springs became a 5.5-day grueling drive. Because Gay, who has some health issues in her life, could only stand the stress for so long, and then she'd have to stop for the night. Eventually, she arrived at her timeshare in Palm Springs and settled in for the first month. At that point, after the first month, she moved over to Oceanside, just north of San Diego, for the second month. And during those months, as I talked to Gay, it became very clear to me that she was very, very worried about the drive back home to Spokane. Well, because I love her so much, and I love her little doggy too, I decided I'd fly to San Diego, and at the end of her stay, spend a couple of days playing on the beach with them, and then share the drive back to Spokane, stopping in Reno to spend a couple of days with her other cousins, my sisters. All well and good. A second person in the car could help little Gabby feel safer. That was the theory anyway, but that's another story. So less than 2 weeks after I discovered Easy World, less than 2 weeks after I discovered Easy World, but already deeply ensconced in it, on March 5, I fly to San Diego. Gay picks me up at the airport, we go to the Italian section of San Diego and get a pizza, we sit and talk for a long time, run a couple errands, we stop for yogurt. Gay is a yogurt addict, and that's no joke. Yogurt every day or perish, always chocolate. We drive north to Oceanside and have a quiet dinner in her timeshare. I've told Gay that I have a gift for her that I am very excited about. Yes, you guessed, a Choosing Easy World book. But by the time we get done with dinner and all are excited catching up, I decided I should wait until the next day when we have plenty of time to talk about Easy World before I give her the book. The next morning we have an early appointment at the Beamer headquarters, which just happens to be in Carlsbad, right down the road from Oceanside. After that, we go to lunch, get the car washed and gas it up, stop at a pet store to buy Gabby a Thunder shirt, also known by us as a Shunder Thirt, to help her feel more secure on the drive home. Theoretically, it didn't help. Neither did anything else we tried, homeopathics. Anyway, stop for yogurt, of course, and then head over to Walmart because it's right down the road from the yogurt shop. I need something in the pharmacy department, and Gay decides to go ahead and buy a few groceries there. Dun, 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 dun. We enter the store. I head for the pharmacy department. Gay puts her purse in the shopping cart and turns to check out the produce, turns back around, and her purse is gone. Gone. But strangely enough, there's a beach ball in the cart, so she thinks it's the wrong cart. She looks around a little bit, finally puts the lettuce for our salad back down, and comes to find me. The good news is that she's got both her cell phone and her car keys in her pockets. So everything comes to a screeching halt, and we get Walmart security involved. They watch videos in their office, see the guy put the beach ball down, grab the purse, and walk out the store. Trust me, I am affirming Easy World with all my might at that point. But Gay doesn't yet know what Easy World is, so I can't tell her what's going on in my head. The garden department just happens to be right outside the security office, so Gay and Gabby and I settle in on garden furniture while security does what they do in a case like that. The Walmart security folks were extremely kind and supportive, for which we were thankful, since Gay felt like an idiot for having left her purse in a shopping cart and turning away. One thing I was thinking about this morning that I hadn't put in here, this little dog is absolutely adorable. She's a golden doodle, and she is miniature, she's tiny, and she is so cute. So there we are in the security department talking to the security guards. Everybody's walking by, and all they can do is talk about how cute this little dog is. She attracted more attention. Anyway, Gay miraculously remembers the account numbers of both her credit cards, so as we're waiting, she calls the credit card companies and puts stops on the card. I don't remember my credit card numbers. On the guise of taking Gabby for a walk, I go out and look in all the trash cans in the parking lot, just in case he took her wallet out and stashed the purse. Yucky job, indeed. I pull out my own cell phone and call Reverend Monica, my longtime prayer partner who lives in Morelia, Mexico, and leave a message imploring her to speak her word about Gay's purse. I called Leah too and asked for the same thing. Here's my rule. Always ask for treatment from someone else when you can't settle down enough to get clear about the issue yourself. So back in Walmart, we finish up with security and head out for the car. The car was gone. Yes. In stunned silence, we stand there baffled and confused because we were sure where it would be. Then we had a discussion about maybe we thought we hadn't parked where we knew we had parked. And then Gay realizes that there had been a second set of car keys in her purse because, after all, she was miles and miles from home, and maybe you should have a second set of car keys with you. And the purse snatcher had found the keys, used the alarm to find the car, and the car was gone. Back into Walmart we go. We're both horrified at our plight, but we're also both women with extremely high steadiness when it comes to crises, and what a blessing that is. At that point, Walmart notifies the Oceanside police, and we go stand outside and wait for the police. We had planned to stop at Trader Joe's after Walmart to buy the rest of the groceries before we went on back to the timeshare. So while we were standing there, Gay says to me, "After all this has happened, I really don't feel like stopping at Trader Joe's on the way home, if that's okay, Liza." And I look at her and I say, "Oh, Gay, darling, we don't have a car to stop at Trader Joe's even if we want to." So then she looks at me with a startled expression. We have this few seconds of silence, and then she starts to laugh, and then I start to laugh. We can't help ourselves. The stress is too much. The only thing you've got left to do is laugh. So laugh we did, and we were still laughing when the police drove up. Probably not a good idea to introduce ourselves to the Oceanside police while we're smiling happily just after our car was stolen. But at least the police knew they weren't dealing with two hysterical 70-something-year-old women. Well, hysterical maybe, but not histrionic. So back into Walmart we go. Gay fills out a police report, and the police, when they arrive and Walmart security, start looking at the video surveillance of both inside and outside. Here's what they see. A man drives up in front of Walmart in a black sedan. He gets out of the driver's side, and a woman gets out of the passenger side. She goes around and gets in the driver's seat. He walks into Walmart, and she drives down to the other end of the parking lot and parks in front of another store. The man walks through the store to the toy department, chooses a brightly colored beach ball, and starts to walk back toward the door. He sees Gay's purse in the shopping cart and without hesitation puts the ball down, picks up the purse, and walks out the door. Out in the parking lot, he rifles through the purse, finds the set of keys. The officers can't hear it, but obviously he sets off the car alarm, walks over to the car, gets in, backs out, and drives down to the other end of the parking lot. There he stops at the black car, obviously talks to the lady, and then the two cars drive quickly out of the shopping center. Gone. They actually had video surveillance of every bit of that. The parking lots, the huge shopping center parking lot. Anyway, once again, the police and the Walmart security folks were very kind and supportive and suggest we take a taxi home. By then, we were hungry again. So they point out a restaurant just a short walk across the parking lot, and we go have a nice dinner. By the way, Gabby is a support dog who wears a vest, so we can take her everywhere we go. She's really no bigger than a minute. She's the cutest little thing. We end up telling the waitress our plight, and when we're done with dinner, she asks her manager to call a cab for us. Remember, I'm still silently invoking Easy World every chance I get. The manager comes over, and she and the waitress stand there and commiserate with us while we wait for the cab. I, the only one with any money at that point, leave a big tip, and we leave the restaurant smiling. So we ride to the timeshare in the cab, and of course the cabbie has to hear about our disaster, and he is very kind, and when he drops us off at the timeshare, he gives us his business card, tells us if we need a ride anywhere the next day to call him personally. Once again, I give him a big tip. Once in the timeshare apartment, we sit on the couch and talk and talk and talk some more about everything that has now changed. All we were really doing was just processing our anxiety. We'll need to rent a car, and Gay wants a car with studded tires, as her car had, because we're driving back through snow country. Yeah, right. Try filling that bill in Southern California. I'm going to have to pay for everything now because I'm the only one with money and credit cards. Gas, food, hotel rooms, both nights on the road. I will theoretically need to do all the driving because I'm the only one with a driver's license. That amounts to 4 days of driving, all the way up through California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. Not exactly something I'd like to do. But eventually, I convinced Gay that she really can do some of the driving, and if for any reason she got pulled over, we could just explain what happened to the highway patrol, and they could verify that she was a licensed driver in Washington. You know, all that kind of stuff. At one point, I say thoughtfully, well, in the morning, we won't have to gas up the car because we did that today. At that point, it was Gay's turn to look at me with a startled expression and say, Liza, darling, we don't have the car with the tank full of gas anymore. Well, we laughed, we laughed, we laughed, and we laughed until we had tears running down our faces. What else could we do? Our little vacation together on the beach had gone up in smoke. It was at that point that she asked again for her gift. Oh, choosing Easy World. So I gave it to her, and while she sat on the couch, I sat on the ottoman opposite her and told her all about choosing Easy World and how my life had changed in the last 2 weeks, and how excited I was about how amazingly easy it was to invoke the design for harmony, and it always seemed to be immediately available. All of you have read the book, know exactly what I mean. I asked her to please just read the introduction in the first chapter before she goes to sleep so that she'll understand what I'm talking about. Because at that point, I not only want her to be on board with me in Easy World, I feel I really need her to be on board with me in Easy World. Lots and lots of things need to line up quickly in Easy World in order for us to enjoy this time together and get her and Gabby Girl back to Spokane by the end of the week. She heads to her bedroom to start reading, and I climb into the pull-down bed in the living room of this condo and fall right to sleep after I invoke Easy World and say my prayers, now totally confident that I'll have Gay with me there throughout what originally might have been a difficult day as we made all the new arrangements for our trip home. So, I'm going to ad-lib it here about the next day. I wake up in the morning. She's already awake. We have a nice breakfast together. She starts making all the calls. She has to call her bank and cancel her checkbook because she believes her checkbook is in the purse. She starts calling rental companies. We have a perfectly normal day while she tries to find a car somewhere in the San Diego area with studded tires or at least all-wheel drive. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. But she keeps trying. I mean, she was really, really busy making phone calls, getting everything done. At some point in the early afternoon, after lunch, I take Gabby for a long walk. And the entire time that we're out, Gabby keeps trying to pull back home, so I don't go nearly as far as I think I'm gonna go. By the time I get back to the timeshare, Gay is hopping up and down with excitement. I said, what's going on, what's going on? And she said, well, I was on the other line. The Oceanside police left a message, and the officer sounded happy. She finally gets through to the officer, and they have found her car. So, the officer, she's talking to the officer on the phone, and I hear her say very dryly, well, officer, we don't have a car to drive to the scene. So the officer, young Officer Quinn, comes and picks us up in a black and white squad car. So here we, the three of us, Gabby and Gay and I, go out. Well, he has to belt us in to this hard plastic back seat. I mean, you are belted tight with magnets across the waist and across here, and we're driving to the scene, and it is just so incongruous for me. I have worked as a court reporter in criminal court my entire adult life. I know more than most people on the planet the reason that you stay out of trouble and you don't ride in the back of police cars. I am a Pollyanna goody two-shoes to the nth degree, and I'm an ordained minister, and I'm riding in the back of a police car with a bulletproof window between me and young Officer Quinn. Well, I get the giggles. I just can't make this make sense. I'm in the back of a police car belted in like a criminal. And I laugh, and of course Gay, who really doesn't know why I'm laughing, starts to laugh too. So this poor young officer, is maybe 24, says, well, what's so funny? So I kind of try to explain to him why I think this is so funny. Anyway, what are you gonna do? You're gonna laugh. We arrive at the scene, and there is Gay's car. It has been completely emptied out. The license plates have been removed. what happened was, this was a homeless man who lived on a very, at the top of a very steep hillside, back behind these very, very heavy bushes, very heavy vegetation. Up above was a very high-end condo complex, and across the street was a long office complex with multiple offices in there. Someone had seen this man removing the Washington license plates, trying to remove them, he eventually did. He had thrown them up into the bushes and called the police. So they know they've got their man and they've got the car. So what they did was they took 4 police cars, it's a very short street, Apple Street, in case you want to know, and they came in from 2 directions, and when they got there, he was sitting in the car, in the driver's seat, which means possession, grand theft auto. He wasn't off someplace, he was in the car. Another iteration of Easy World. So, we arrive at the scene, and I've never seen a group of police happier than this group. There were probably 8 officers there, including a young woman who was a photographer. And they're just swarming around us and laughing and talking, and they've got everything. The things that were really expensive, he had taken up the hill to his hovel. Anything he wanted, he had put in the back of his own car. His back seat was completely full of stuff. And other stuff he had thrown up into the bushes, just willy-nilly. And later, I discovered a trash can down the street, just a small round trash can, who knows why it was there, and some of our stuff was in that trash can. So, what I need to tell you is that what was in Gay's car was my Beamer, a $6,000 medical unit. What was also in Gay's car, in Gay's purse, was a $6,400 cashier's check. She had sold a Beamer, not a regular check, a cashier's check, where if you have identification, you can cash anywhere. And he had Gay's driver's license. So, my winter coat, all of Gay's winter clothes, what else was in there? Anyway, a bunch of stuff. Oh, I had a gorgeous turquoise knit vest that was there. And so the 10 of us, the 8 officers, and Gay and I wandered around and picked things out of the bushes, and the police officers climbed up to his hovel and came back with various things, all so excited. Is this yours? Is this yours? Yeah, it's mine, it's mine. And when they found my Beamer, I'll tell you what, I started to cry. I was so excited. And eventually they found Gay's purse in the car, including the cashier's check, which had incidentally been signed on the back in this very frilly handwriting. So perhaps his girlfriend, significant other, the woman had signed it, who knows. Looked quite a bit like Gay's own signature. So they get everything done, they put everything back in the back of the car, they photograph everything, they give us our possessions. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you?
Put the license plates back on the car.
Oh, they put the cops put the license plates back on the car. I want to tell you an interesting thing. His car had Washington license plates on it, which made Gay a little bit nervous. She was like, well, if I'm from Washington, he's from Washington. What if he's from Spokane? He's now got my driver's license. Mm. Well, what I will tell you is, by the time the whole thing was over, the only thing, we thought we had everything. By the next evening, we realized the only things we didn't get back were Gay's driver's license, which she easily replaced, our 2 water bottles, and her GPS device. Those water bottles and GPS device were probably there. We just didn't think of them, and so nobody looked. They were probably in the back of his car. So, exactly 24 hours after we walked into Walmart, we were sitting in Gay's car with all of our possessions, saying a gratitude prayer. And of course, my prayer was for Easy World. If that didn't lock Easy World into my being forever, nothing else would. Can you imagine? those cops were thrilled. Oh, and I do want to tell you one other funny thing. When the cops were, the guy was sitting in the back of the police car, one of the police cars that was there, and we couldn't see him because the windows were grayed out. The policeman had told us nobody could see us in the back of the police car because the windows are grayed out. But when they were going through the back of his car, if they would pull out something that was his, he would bang on the window with his handcuffs and yell, "That's mine, that's mine." And so the cops were laughing because it was funny. You know, this is theirs, but those are my things. So 24 hours, we had the car back and all of our possessions except those few minor things. So then I have a couple of addendums. Gay actually got subpoenaed to fly back to Oceanside, which she did not want to do. She had spent enough time in Oceanside, thank you very much. And so I convinced her that she really did not have to go. That subpoena power is only for people within a certain geographical range, and that they really did not need Gay's testimony. They caught him red-handed in the car. So she ended up not having to go testify. She did a subpoena or affidavit instead. As it turned out, Gay's checkbook was not in her purse. When she cleaned out the desk the next morning as we packed to go, her checkbook was in the desk where she had been. And she'd of course already canceled her checkbook. She called the bank from the road on the highway while I was driving and got her checking account reinstated. We drove home without incident. We really enjoyed ourselves. We arrived at the bank in Spokane too late to go inside to deposit the cashier's check. And she was going to explain to the clerk that that wasn't her signature in case they didn't recognize it, but this was the story, you know, and she could re-sign it. So instead of going into the bank, we drove through the drive-through, the ATM, put that check in the thing, put it in, and it cleared. That cashier's check. Easy world. So my last addendum is someone bailed the man out, and he disappeared. Poof, gone. Gay was extremely upset. And I said, well, having worked in the criminal system all these years, let me tell you what I know. This is a lifelong hardened criminal, most likely, and they will catch him again. Within 2 weeks, they had him. On another theft, he will never, ever be able to get bail again in his entire life, and he is now serving in state prison for grand theft auto. So it's kind of a distortion of Easy World, but it's all Easy World. That's my story. That's why I believe so firmly in Easy World and brought it here to all of you. I have found some of the most remarkable quotes from multiple authors that confirm what the book teaches. And I've got more Easy World stories to tell. Maybe not as powerful as that one I just shared, but pretty amazing. So I'll be back soon to share some more of them with you in another talk. As for now, I'm going to finish this up today by going back to Choosing Easy World, the book, and sharing a meditation gleaned from some of Julia Roger Hamrick's wisdom. Before I do that, I have those books for anyone who doesn't have their own copy. I have now read Choosing Easy World 6 times. I reread it for this talk. Almost everyone that I have given this book to has turned right around and bought a whole bunch of copies for their peeps, as they call him. Gay went home and ordered 5 copies. I think Patty ordered a bunch for friends and loved ones for Christmas. It has had such an impact on so many lives already that I really, really encourage you to keep reading it over and over, keep invoking it, keep listening to her wisdom while she describes how to utilize Easy World. So, this is not exactly a meditation, but I want you to close your eyes and embody this if you choose. At the center or core of creation is Source, the origin of all energy. This is where energy vibrates the fastest. It's the aspect of creation demonstrating the highest vibrational frequency of all. At this level, there is no impediment whatsoever to the flow of life force out from the core. Energy or life force, also known as love, and the intelligence encoded within it, radiates freely and ceaselessly from source. You might say that energy flows with perfect ease. The divine intelligence operating at source level creates worlds and every nuance of those worlds, but experiences no effort whatsoever in doing so. This is because it is doing so from a state of total non-resistance. In Genesis 1, verse 3, the very first book in the Bible, it said, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." Let there be light. No effort. God simply allowed light, and light showed up instantly. Now that's manifestation. That's allowing at the highest level. Needless to say, the Creator is 100% easy world. The more love you allow to flow freely through you, the higher you go in vibrational frequency. The higher you go in vibrational frequency, the more your experiences match that of Source, perfect ease, and instantaneous manifestation of desire. The aspect of creation that allow energy to flow freely stay at the highest vibrational frequency possible according to their unique design and experience total health, wholeness, and of course, ease. This is the state of those in easy world. And if ease were not enough, higher vibrational frequency is what catalyzes your emotional response of joy. Ease and joy are inseparable partners. Where there is one, you will always find the other. Joy is the sign that you are at a higher vibrational frequency. You might say that joy is the emotional signature of easy world. In this higher vibrational frequency, you find easy world, where everything is easy. So let's breathe, relax, allow, enjoy, and be grateful. Namaste.
Namaste.